I think it was good that he walked off and he tried to play on after that. I mean, even though he came out, I feel like Timber was like being super precautious because he's already had an ACL and he was like, just look at it just in case. I honestly think he just jangled his knee a little bit. Like when somebody's studs go into your knee, you're gonna be like, that doesn't feel right. Like, but with some time of rest, maybe he's all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shirtless Plantain Show, the Arsenal edition. This is your host, Dean, and today I am here with Gabby. What's going on, Gabby? How are you?
I am crashing out because of Gabrielle, but I'm here. I'm here.
I like that you know your brand and you stick to it. Like start
Right.
with the most paranoid negative thing you can start with, then we go from there. But we'll get to that in a moment here. But we are here to talk about Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. Really, it felt like it should have been like a 5-0 game to me, or maybe like 5-1. Give Fulham some
I
credit
was
because
gonna say Optimus.
they did create some good. They did create some good chances, and I'm probably being a bit too optimistic in response to your perverse negativity. That said, Fulham have well, not necessarily long been, but it's gone on long enough that they've become a bit of the bogey team. They kind of, I can't say they replaced Brighton because Brighton have kind of gotten their bogey card back thanks to some refereeing help this season. But Fulham have definitely been a bit of an issue since at least, I can't remember the exact date, but I feel like the moment it became an issue was when we let Yao Polinia score from a corner when they were one man down against us at home. We'd come back from 1-0 down.
Yeah.
Fabio Vieira and Eddie came on, changed the game for us. We're up 2-1, should have seen the game out. Calvin Bassey went off for fouling Bukayo Saka. Then somehow we let them equalize from a corner, and I feel like we haven't known peace with Fulham ever since. So
Ever
that means
since
that
we started being unserious and started going for the league, they want to start taking points off us. All right.
But I think it's fair to say they're a bogey team at the moment.
I don't know if they're a bogey team. For me, our bogey team will always be Southampton because we always do nonsense against them. But I feel like Fulham has just been a thorn in our side for the last like 2 years at least, and it's in like crucial moments, like when we're always in like the December period when we start doing the bullshit. Like every time when the pressure's off and we have to play Fulham, it's easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. But when the pressure's on and we have to pick up points, you never want to play Fulham, home or away, because we always do bullshit. Because that Paulinia goal shouldn't. Let me not even start. Today is today.
Yeah,
We don't
today's
talk
today.
about yesterday.
And today was a good day. We can leave the past in the past. Today was a wonderful day, regardless of what happened with the result. Let's be honest. Because for the first time since December 21st, when Bukayo did his hamstring away at Crystal Palace, a 5-1 victory, by the way. And I'm wearing this kit, but I think this is probably the last time I'm going to put this bullshit on. I don't like this fucking kit. It's bad juju, but I'm going to just wear it because I own it. If any of you listening to the pod want this shit, holla at your boy. I might just send it to you. In any event, Bukayo came back, but he started on the bench. But even so, I thought we came out with a pretty strong lineup. I'll go through it very quickly. It was Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Miles Lewis-Skelly, number 5, Odegaard, Rice, Martinelli, Merino, and Nwaneri on the right-hand side. That's as close as we've come to a full lineup in what feels like months, Gabby.
Yeah, I actually was surprised that they didn't do the full. I shouldn't say surprise because Arteta is going to Arteta with Merino up top, but I was surprised we didn't just play all the attackers in like mostly the right positions. I was thinking they're going to play Trossard, Martinelli, and Ethan, but I think he knew he needed even a makeshift striker up there.
Yeah, I think Arteta has accepted that, or maybe not accepted, but maybe this is part of the game model because we play Kai there. In the past, we played Gabby Jesus back when he was a little more robust and physical before
You
the
hear those
injuries
sirens?
started
They're
kicking
coming
in.
for your ass.
I don't know. Every time I start recording a pod, this shit starts happening. I don't know what's going on lately, man.
They
They
heard
looking
what you
for
were
me.
saying in the group chat. They said it's time to lock him up.
It's probably deserved, but they're never gonna catch me. Never, never. But yeah, I think the way we play these days, we just need a big man up top, regardless of what that big man is. If Merino wasn't available for whatever reason, God forbid, but if it wasn't available and Kai wasn't available, I get the impression that we'd probably play Rice there before we played any of the other
Imagine.
strikers. Yeah, like seriously, because we really do need that profile. I guess now that Saka is back, we'd probably be willing to take more of a risk in that regard and maybe play Trossard or Martinelli there. But I just don't really see for the foreseeable future until we make that purchase in the summer and Kai comes back. I just don't see a situation where Merino is not the starting nine. Even if he's
Right.
not the best example of that sort of player, he's doing a job, and he did his job today as well. But we will get to that.
Right.
Ben White missed this game. We didn't expect him to start or anything, but he was on the bench. Apparently, he had a bit of a niggle. Not a big deal. But the game started. Arsenal started well, I thought. I would always love for them to start with a goal within the first 10 minutes. I imagine that you would love that even more than I do because you hate our slow starts. But what did you make
I
of it?
I do. I didn't like the way we started. I felt like we were a little bit rusty, but I felt like both teams were rusty. We were both giving the ball away and then catching it and then trying to counter and then giving the ball away and then getting back. It was just a really weird start for both teams, and I was like, why did we look so? It'd be different if they had come out the block swinging, like Fulham had just like pressed us into oblivion and we like looked like rattled, but we didn't look rattled. We were just like the final ball was just not there, if that makes sense. We were passing around a lot to our as normal to our fullbacks and our center backs, but then when you get it to the middle of the pitch or when you get into final third, then they started messing up stuff, and I was like, I need us to be a little bit more sharp, and we shouldn't look so not sharp because we've had off for a while.
Actually, I'd argue that that's why we looked a little dull. Actually, both teams, because both teams have a lot of international players. When you go away for the break and you
That's
come
true.
back, that first half after you come back is always a little janky. I feel like. I know Arsenal was notoriously permissive about that. He always just kind of played it off as we expect that,
We need to
But
ban national teams. Fuck them.
yeah. It's a shame we weren't paying Moldova, because there was one culprit in particular that didn't make me happy. But again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. The first notable moment of this game, to my recollection, was Fulham breaking on us and Big Gabby pulling up and holding onto his hamstring. Um, you are notoriously the biggest Big Gabby fan on the planet. Uh, just take it from here, Gabby.
I honestly, I wanted to slip my own wrist. Like, no joke. When I saw him pull up, I was like, I'm done. End the season right now. I'm over it. Like, this is crazy. People are dropping like flies. And Gabriel does not go down. Like, we all know that. He's like a warrior for real. Like, he will play through an injury, just like Ben White will play through an injury. But as soon as he went down and put his hand up, like, no, I can't go on anymore. Like, I was like, they're gonna take him out. This is not a like check me out and run it off type of thing. Like, he's coming out for sure. And he came out and went right down the tunnel. And the thing that pissed me off is that when he went down and put his hand up, Arsenal had the ball and we kept playing on. And granted, we could have scored. But then after that, I was like, kick the ball out. The guy is limping. He's been limping for like 2 minutes. And now the ball's coming back like in our final third. Like, what is happening?
It was one of the most brain dead moments from this team this season. It was so stupid, because I'm a little more optimistic about what happened. I've watched the replay of him pulling up, and it didn't like he was about to get into a full sprint. He wasn't fully at top speed yet, and he holds on to the thigh slash hamstring area, and he just kind of slows down and stops. And the fact that he went down immediately, I think this is a player that's thinking to himself, "We have Real Madrid next week. Worst case scenario, I make the second leg, but I'm not gonna make this any worse than it needs to be. Like, we're not gonna turn a strain into a tear." So I'm optimistic that he was just like, you know what, these guys can handle Fulham without me. I'm getting ready for Madrid, and that's part of the reason why he went straight down the tunnel. Like, let's get started on the treatment today. So I'm
Today.
optimistic. Hopefully, Mikkel, I'm sure he doesn't have an update right after the game, but I imagine that by the time this
He
podcast is out,
said,
okay,
what did
you
he
heard
say? He
something.
said that him and Timber was couldn't go on, which we're going to talk about later, but like he couldn't go on throughout the game. He felt something and they just took him out like as a precaution. But Gabriel, like, he was being very cautious about what he said about Gabriel. He was like, we're doing the scans, we'll see what it looks like. He didn't say anything else after that. So I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, like,
Yeah, he doesn't know. Coach Drewski does not know. Um, That said, I think with the Timber one, I'm a little more optimistic about that one because it happened shortly after the Gabriel one, and in that one you can sort of see the mechanism of what happened. I think it was
Yeah,
yet another Fulham break. Him and Saliba combined to block a Raul Jimenez shot, and I think Raul Jimenez's follow through, his cleat
yeah.
kind of caught Timber on the knee, so it felt like more of a. I thought it was more of a flesh wound type thing because I saw the medic also pull out like some gauze or whatever to like dab his knee. So it
That's what
could
I
be
thought
that,
too.
but he could also have gotten hurt a little bit because it was it was a full swing, a power shot that.
I think it was good that he walked off and he tried to play on after that. I mean, even though he came out, I feel like Timber was like being super precautious because he's already had an ACL and he was like, just look at it just in case.
Right.
I honestly think he just jangled his knee a little bit. Like when somebody's studs go into your knee, you're gonna be like, that doesn't feel right. Like, but
Ab-
when some time and
Absolutely.
rest, maybe he's all right.
Yeah, I think he'd be okay because he played probably about, I want to estimate about an, not an hour, but at least 45 minutes after he got hit. He went off the pitch. He came back on, took instructions from the manager, and played pretty well. Even did one of his patented shimmies that he doesn't do that often anymore post injury. But he pulled one out when Iwobi came on, and that made me very happy because I'm like, oh, he did the thing. He did the thing. But yeah, those moments felt a little Spursy because I feel like the reason why Spurs don't have center backs this season is because of the system they play, where they're constantly running back to stop counters.
Yeah.
And you don't want that from your defenders. You're gonna have to do it every so often, but you don't want that to be a consistent thing week to week because people's hamstrings are going to get fried. You just.
Listen, I don't blame that on Spurs. I say they don't have center backs because they white people shouldn't have PMP. So sorry, your legs are going out on you. I don't know what to tell you.
If the rest of the gang was here, we'd have a longer discussion about whether Cristiano Romero counts as white or not. But let's not get into that. The immediate standout for me watching the game, and I'll just go ahead and ruin the spoiler alert. Man of the match was Martinelli for me. I thought he was fantastic from his first touch of the ball to the end of the game. He saw Castagna and thought to himself, you know what? I'm gonna cook you. You are a Belgian waffle, and you're getting. How do you make a waffle? You grill that shit? You fry that shit? I don't know. I don't go to brunch that often
Nigga,
anymore.
what? You, you fry that shit?
I don't know. How do you make waffles? Griddle?
You put it in a griddle. I
Okay,
hate
there you
you.
go.
Shut
There
the
you go.
fuck up.
I'm not a complete savage. But what did you make of his attitude and energy today? I was so impressed.
What an uncultured swine. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of Martinelli, but like genuinely, he was cooking today, like for real. I think one of you guys said like I wish he could play Castagna every week, and I was like, this is how you should play. Like this is how we expect you to play, if that makes sense. I
Right.
honestly think that a lot of people wouldn't complain about Martinelli's play if he played like that for 60% of the time. You know, but we haven't seen that Martinelli in like 2 seasons. And that's the problem. We haven't seen him really get past his man for a while, which is why him continuously doing it in one game was surprising to me, but welcome because it created so many opportunities. Him getting past his man and getting into the box and crossing quickly, not thinking about it, just being instinctual. That's what I want to see from Martinelli. He's not. I keep saying he's not good when he has to think. Thinking is not your strong suit. Just play like Jogo Bonito, okay? Like Brazilians are not supposed to think.
Nah, they're just supposed to do. They're just supposed to dance, and that's it. Like he's very reminiscent of Theo Walcott, but he plays on the opposite side of the pitch. Theo played from a strong side, and the big talking point with Theo throughout his entire Arsenal career was that when he has that time to think, it's not going to go well. But when he's playing instinctively, he will bang goals. And with Martinelli, I think the difference between this performance today and a lot of the, let's call it peak Martinelli, like 22, 23 Martinelli, was that he mostly went on the outside of his defender. Like he did the shimmy, then he would just go and just trust the speed that I'm gonna beat this guy and I'm gonna beat the byline and do something useful with the ball. And he actually created the first really good chance of the game for us when he crossed to Waneri, who was it a volley? It was a volley out of the air, sort of bounced it into the ground. Leno made a very good save. But I was just from
I
that
say
moment I was
second
just like,
chance because the
was
first
that the second
one
chance? What
should
was
have
the
been
first one?
scored by Fives, dumbass. But sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was so bad. I had to like memory hold that. It was terrible. It was so terrible because it was a really good chance. It was a really good
It
chance.
was.
Yeah, I did think it was interesting that not as well as he played today, he didn't really cut in on his strong foot to shoot, which is generally what wingers do nowadays, and they've done for the past decade and a half, it feels like. But even without that, he was magnificent, I thought, and long may it continue, because if he can give us this for the rest of the season, then, it sort of, it doesn't really change anything about how we move in the summer, I don't think. But
Yeah,
for those who think he's probably the one that might get flipped into some profit to like
he
buy
won't.
more players, no, we have to keep him. That profile it's rare. Like I
Unless you're
watch a
going
lot
to
of
buy it
people and
again, he has to stay. But I would
yeah,
like to see that against, I don't know who's on his side, but Mendy, I would love to see that. I would love to see
yeah,
Martinelli against
he'd be playing
one of them
against
fullbacks.
he'd be playing against Lucas Vasquez. If we're lucky, yeah, it'll be Lucas Vasquez, but I doubt it will probably be Valverde, who is very good. He is very, very good. That
Yeah.
said, Real Madrid can defend, but we'll talk about that some other day. Um, I hate to do this because it feels like we do it every week, so we can keep it brief. But Odegaard's first half performance was just. He's the reason why I made that quip about Moldova a little earlier.
Yeah.
He had a wonderful break. He had 3 assists in a game against Moldova. Obviously, Moldova is not on the level of most Premier League defenses. But he just looks so aimless today. Like when he ran with the ball, he was running to areas that weren't dangerous. He was slowing the game down like he often does. When he had opportunities to shoot, he shot, but it was so inaccurate. Am I being harsh, or is this, because I know you didn't watch the full second half, and he improved in the second half. I'll give him that. But that first half was as pathetic as it gets from him this season.
I don't know if it was like his worst performance this season because I think we've seen some bad Odegaard performances this season, but I just felt like it was par for the course for what's been going on. He just looks very, I wouldn't say lost per se, but just like when lethargic, when someone does the thing that they always do, but they do it worse because they're tired. Yeah, like that's what he's doing. He just looks like mentally tired, like mentally disengaged. I don't know. I hopefully Saka can help him with that now that he's here and back. But he just looks like I don't know, man. Like the world is on his shoulders. Like he needs the break, the summer break more than anyone else. We got I know this is not about transfer news, but we got linked to Xavi Simons like today, and I was like, I sent it to my friend, and I was like, let me just be excited about this just for a little bit because he needs another creator so badly. He needs another creator so badly.
I would be very into that. I'd be into that deeply. I would like that a lot. Like a lot. Like where can Javi Simmons not play? I didn't see that, but let me not get into it. I'm a little too excited. Actually, my chest started beating faster. Like it was crazy. Like Javi Simmons is amazing. Like, but we'll talk about Andrea Berta towards the end here. We'll do some transfer talk at the end of this because as good as the game was, I don't think the two of us can cover a full hour of the pod that we usually do. So I'm excited. We'll talk about Javi Simmons a little bit. But yeah, I'm rooting for the guy because at the end of the day, as he goes, the team goes. If he's better, it's good for everybody. It's what we want. But I was so frustrated watching him that I think I maybe tweeted that maybe this is just his level now. Like maybe this is just how we should expect him
See,
to
now
play.
that I think is harsh. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's,
this is his
it's a little
level.
harsh,
I
but it's been a full season of this shit. Like
no,
he's had
I
way
hear
more bad
you.
games than good games.
I hear that, but at the same time, if you believe in Martinelli, we gave Martinelli 2 seasons before we said this is probably his level.
Listen, Martinelli
I'm
is
just
a kid.
saying, he's having one bad season. Let him have one bad season.
Here's the thing about Martinelli. One, he's not the captain. Two, he's not
Sure.
a creative, cerebral type player. Okay. Three, with him, it's like at the end of the day, the bare minimum of Martinelli is still sort of tolerable to me because he's super quick. That's something you don't find in just any player. And his defensive work is fantastic. With Odegaard, it's like his defensive work is the bare minimum I expect from him. I don't even give him credit for that anymore because that's your fucking job. You lead the press. Okay, whatever. What I want from you is to be creative and to move the ball along expeditiously and stop dilly-dallying on the ball. And I feel like he's actually infecting some of the other players with this bullshit. I saw Ethan kind of dilly-dallying on the ball. I saw Miles doing it on the left side. I didn't particularly appreciate that, but it's a good day. I'm not going to get on my hater shit, but
What
just
Dean wants to say is he hates white people, but that's all right. We move on.
you know what? I'm not going to deny that, but I'm not going to confirm it either. But if you're white and you're listening to this, I do love you. For at least the period while you're listening to this. When the shit goes off, I don't know about that. I do want to. I had a conversation with a listener on Blue Sky, His name is, well, his at is at gunnershoe.bsky.social, and his other name is Shoria. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but he said, I think it's a lot of different factors with Odegaard. He was rushed back from injury, and he has at least 90% of the creative burden falling on him. All that being said, it feels like this Fulham game is passing him by, and the ball is just not sticking to his feet. It's so weird to watch. And I completely agreed with that. It was just like, it was almost like he was a passenger. Like, a lot of the game was just passing him by. And when he did get the ball, he wasn't doing shit with it. And it was very frustrating, but he did pick it up in the second half, and he will, he deserves credit for that, and we'll get into him. That said, I forget what minute this happened in because my notes are terrible and it's a midweek. But Ethan got a cross into the box. Mikel Merino took a couple touches and decided, you know what? If you don't shoot, you don't score. He took a shot. It deflected off Cuenca, and it went in past Leno. It kind of trickled in a little bit, but no complaints
Yeah.
here. Another Mikel Merino goal. This happened in the 37th minute, which is a good time to score right before halftime. What did you make of our auxiliary striker, and do you think he can continue this for the rest of the season?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. He said, "Fuck it, we ball." He did the one thing that I think we don't do enough, which is shooting. We always like, listen, man of the match. I don't know, brother. Listen, it should have been Martinelli, but fair enough. I just feel like we don't shoot enough. We don't shoot enough. We look for the perfect opportunity. We take an extra touch and then the moment's gone. We slice across the ball. We don't put it on target, so we can't deflect anywhere. It's frustrating to watch. So having somebody who's technically, I shouldn't say technically gifted because he's not technically gifted, but he's very tidy. Most Spanish like players are very tidy. So he close control. He's just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna just hit the ball and see where it goes. And it happened to go in. And I will take a goal like that every time because we don't get those enough.
Yeah, we need those. We need those messy, dirty goals, and
Those janky ass goals
I,
that go in.
honestly, this is actually a very comforting development. I mean, because ideally, if people didn't get hurt, there's no way we would have seen Marina at 9 for Arsenal. That just wasn't part of the plan. And now that we've done it by force for a couple weeks, we know it's an option. So no matter what happens in the future, there's always an option of like a third, I guess maybe even fourth striker in the squad that we can just pop in there.
This
And
is
we
true.
can actually expect production because he's done it against all kinds of teams at this point.
I mean, to be fair to Moreno, I saw someone say like Moreno is one of those players who does like nothing all game and then happens to score, which I feel like a lot of people say about Trossard. And I was like, but you know what? I'll take that. I don't care. Like sometimes not always pretty Arsenal. Like just put the ball into the back of the net and get out of here with 3 points.
Dead ass. That's all we need right now, man. That's all we need. Quick update from the group chat. Anna Hathaway is
Oh
welcome
yeah,
back to Starboy.
I did see
Star
that.
Man. That's quite lovely. It's nice to have
Follow my
some.
girl on Instagram. I said,
I'm
oh
always
yeah, she was watching the game today. Right.
a real gooner. Like I love when famous gooners give the team shout outs, because for years I had to live with the knowledge that one of the probably the most famous gooner in the world outside of the Queen, allegedly, was Osama bin Laden.
The fact that is Arsenal lore is so funny to me. The time about Aaron Ramsey and Osama bin Laden, that was the funniest time on Twitter. Oh my god.
I mean, the man had good taste in football. Like say what else you want about him, but he did have good taste in football teams. Goal came in the 37th minute, which was close enough to halftime that I can just ignore everything else that happened. When halftime came around, what did you want?
Well, I figured we needed to go and get another goal. And we were kind of pressing. We were pressing a little bit to get a second one. I think Martinelli had like a moment right before halftime where the ball was kicked over the top, and he was chasing onto it, and he just didn't get there. And I had to remember who their goalkeeper was, Leno.
But Leno, our
um,
guy.
yeah, and Leno collected it, but I was like, yeah, I want that. Don't take your foot off the gas. Like, go get the second goal because we love to concede that one shot, one goal nonsense. Mm-mm.
Indeed, we do. Indeed, we do. Halftime came around. Coach was at the stadium, texting me some bullshit. Hey, coach, fuck you, bro. But halftime started, and honestly, this was as rough as this season has been for Arsenal. I would say the period between the beginning of the second half up until I want to say the 65th minute. The first 15 minutes of that second half, Arsenal were just on it. Like there was chance after chance after chance. However, before that, David Raya had to make a really good save from Traore. It was a good shot. Usually he parries that stuff into a safe area, but he put it right
I
into
was
the
gonna
middle of the
say the
goal area.
same thing. I did not like the way he parried that into his own box. I was like, I mean, the way his positioning was, he was closer to like his post,
His near
and I
post.
was like, I think it was I want to say it was just the power of the shot. He just put it anywhere because it was just coming at him so fast. But the way he normally puts that out for touch, like normally that goes out for a corner or whatever. It just happened
Right.
to go into his own box, right in the middle of the box where like nobody was. Thank God Lewis-Skelly came out of nowhere and cleared it because I was like, please don't let this be a rebound and a goal. Like,
Right. If Miles didn't get there, Emil Smith Rowe would have scored for Fulham,
yeah, it was
which
looking nasty.
which would have hurt so bad,
The
so
narratives
bad.
would have been narrative.
Oh my god, like the Arteta outers would have been out in full force. Your people, the Arteta outers. But following that, the first, and this is important. It's not as if I'm picking on the guy because again, he's important. The better he is, the better Arsenal is. But Odegaard finally had a good moment in this game, and I think he built his confidence from there. Julian Timber runs with the ball in the area of the pitch you'd expect him to be in, plays a nice 1-2. He plays the one. Odegaard plays a perfect two back to him, and he blasts it, but unfortunately blasts it straight at Leno. Probably broke a rib on that dude or whatever, but that let me know that, okay, these guys got a good talking to at halftime, and they're ready to close this game out. Shortly after that, there was a free kick. Odegaard took it.
Saliba probably should have put that on target.
Yeah, Saliba
But
should have put it on target. He puts it over. There was a nice MLS run where Lukic fouled him, got a yellow. I always love when the defensive midfielders on the other team get yellow cards for breaking up our corners because it means we can run even faster through them. There was a Rice corner. Martinelli had a header. It got saved. There was an Odegaard corner that led to a Merino shot that also got saved. Martinelli kept cooking Castagna. So it was a nice 15, 20-minute period of just pressure, but the goal did not come.
yeah.
I'm not sure if you were still watching at that point, but did you get nervous?
I wasn't still watching at this point, but when I watched the highlights back, I was like, oh, we had a good few chances. Like, I feel like if I had been watching it, I would have been like, see, this is why we needed the early goal because we like to do this thing where we like let me not say what I think. We like to do this thing where we tease a little bit too much. Like, just do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
I
so
I I just felt like all those especially recently because we haven't like scored too many corners recently. I was like all these corners that are getting saved, all these chances like the Timber one that you were talking about, which I wish we had done a little bit of it with. I was like, yeah, see, if we had been 0-0 at this point, I would have been a bit frustrated because that's when Arsenal start to do the thing. We know we're gonna get the goal. We're gonna keep going. Then one moment you switch off, and then Fulham are in our box and they score. And it just didn't happen like that because we had already scored. We were already up.
however, a moment where they may have equalized happened right after that period I was just talking about when I believe Traore robs Kivior, who for whatever reason, I don't know why he was dilly-dallying like that. Like, so with Kivior, we've often said when we critique him, he's not on the level. We've accepted that. He probably should leave this summer. That said, he's
Ain't
always
no
been
probably about it.
he's usually been able to come in and do a job. And sort of the big defensive point for him was that he's never really played in his real position. Today he came in like for Gabriel, was our left center back, was mostly good on the ball, had a moment in the first half I didn't like, had a moment in the second half that I'm now about to reference that was horrible because he let Traore rob him. And thankfully Traore had his blinders on because if he had just crossed it to Jimenez, it's a tap in into an empty net.
100%.
And he tries to shoot. It's a terrible shot. I think it actually went out for a throw-in or went in that general direction. We got lucky there. Excuse me. Sorry. I just spoke to my own stuff. That's disgusting. Apologies. But in any event, the moment we all came for then arrived. At the moment that Fulham were beginning to look like they were going to do something, our very lovely manager, Mikel Arteta, said, Bukayo, it's time for it to go in.
As my father would say, Bukaya!
And the song rang around the stadium. It sounded so beautiful. It's never sounded so beautiful in my life. And he came on to the pitch. And I feel like almost instantly, he came on for Ethan, who was looking tired after spending the whole game carrying his lazy ass captain. But
you had to put that in there.
I love you, Martin. Just had to take that shot. But he came on for Ethan, and almost immediately the ball goes down the left side. Like, this was one of the rare games where I'm not gonna say the left side was clicking or working. I'm not gonna go that far with it, but it felt like we were primarily attacking via Martinelli and we probably didn't even do it enough because obviously Martinelli had the beating of Castagna. He was on that.
He heard Jed Spence. He saw the clips. He watched the thing. He was like, "Oh, these guys are laughing at me. Let me buck up a little bit."
And he got engaged like the other day, so he was like, "You know what? I'm about to be a married man. I can't be moving like a bachelor. I gotta cook motherfuckers like a married man, you know." And he cooked Castagna. That said, he wasn't the cooker here, or at least he was part of it. He lays it off to Merino. Merino strains across it. Martinelli flicks it, and who's at the back post to mark his return with a goal?
Bukayo
Saka. Yes. How excited were you? You didn't get to see this live, did you?
You know what's funnily enough? I actually turned the game back on, like as he was celebrating. So I saw the the replay of it, and I was like, "Oh, he scored!" I love this for me. I don't think we give enough to that Martinelli run. You know I'm a Martinelli hater, but he actually, you coming inside and not being on the wing at that moment and driving through that midfield against two people, holding onto the ball and playing it to the right person, who then lets you, crosses the ball and gets it back to you for you to do as well as you possibly can. Because no, Martinelli, he probably wanted to shoot there, but the ball just didn't, he couldn't have done it. So he flicks it off of himself and it ends up at Bukayo's head and he puts it in back post. That's what I want to see, right? You get what is given to you and do the best of what you got. That's what I want to see every time. Drive at your man. I feel like we don't play in those central areas enough. So Martinelli even being there, get in the box.
Yeah, I think it was in a lot of ways it may not have been the sexiest goal we've scored this season or ever under Arteta, but I think it had a lot of the hallmarks of what he wants to see from his attackers. The fact that Merino's not a left winger, but he was out on the left to put the cross in because that's the way the game evolved. Goes out to the left winger cuts into the middle, becomes a center forward, gets something on the ball. I think he's trying to score there, but he just had to get something on the ball, and it worked out perfectly because Bukayo has not. He's probably scored a few easier goals than that, but not many. Yeah. He just had to stoop and knot it in, and it was wonderful. I was ecstatic. I didn't yell because I was watching this from a place where I get paid money to do serious things, so I couldn't. I couldn't do that. But deep down inside, I went full Miles Lewis-Skelly getting the England call up. I was very.
I wish I had
very
seen
happy.
it live because I wanted to hear the roar of the crowd for real. I just know the Emirates was loud at that moment.
I was just like, the group chats were booming, the texts were booming. Everyone was so happy. I think it's a moment that will live long in the memory because this is the longest we've ever been without Bukayo Saka as Arsenal fans, and we've been waiting for him to come back for so long. And some people are just blessed. There's a is it in the Constitution? I don't know. American politics is weird, but there's this whole thing about all men being created equal. No, they're not. They're not. All men are not created equal because clearly God loves Bukayo Saka more than he loves a lot of us. Because
he is God's child.
He missed 100 days of football, comes back, and that was maybe his fourth or fifth touch. Maybe his first. I don't know. It felt like he came.
It took him 6 minutes. Literally, I think they said 6 minutes and 20 seconds. He's been on the on the pitch. Now he scored. I said, right.
That was
that's
fantastic.
what we've been missing.
And joyous and lovely, and I was just so happy, and I really love seeing the celebration that him and Martinelli have been doing since they were both teenagers, where they do that arm hook thing. That's just the best. It's the best because we haven't seen enough of it. Because the reason why they do that celebration is because usually when they do that celebration is because one has assisted the other.
Yeah, they link up.
And I thought we'd see that more often, but it just feels like because of the stagnation of one party in that link up, it just hasn't happened enough. So it was really nice to see. Martinelli assists Bukayo on his return from a long-term injury. Very, very, very great moment. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed it, because when we get off this shit right here, I'm finna go watch that shit again. Like it was just so delightful. Um, yeah, the next sub, we didn't make a lot of subs in this game, to my recollection. We made the injury sub for Gabriel. We took Ethan off for Saka. Then shortly after the goal, Trossard came off for Timber because Timber went down, kind of pointing to the same knee. I think we've sort of covered that. My feelings about it are still the same. I'm pretty sure he's going to be okay. Did Kel say anything about it? You seem to have watched the press conference.
No, he just said he was struggling, so he couldn't go on, and I was like, I feel like this is more precautionary. Like he probably maybe could have played the rest, but you didn't want to push it, so just take him off.
Yeah, because everybody wants to play at the Santiago Bernabeu. Like, yeah, I'm
Correct.
not risking Fulham game at home against Fulham. Like, y'all motherfuckers better handle this shit. I'll see you in Madrid. Like, shit. All right, fair enough. After that, the game was kind of, I guess we're gonna call it a bit basketball-y, ding dongy. Like Fulham made a bunch of subs. Willian came on, ex Arsenal, yay. Alexi Wobi came on.
Did
We
you say
love him.
ding dongy?
Yeah, ding dong, just back and forth, back and forth. Do I need to pause that? Okay, fine, I'll
But
pause.
I paused that. But go on.
Pause on the dong. The ding can stay. Ryan Sessegnon came on. Rodrigo Muniz came on. And if I recall, outside of Iwobi, I think both of the other two had chances. And we'll just skip to the end here. In the 88th minute, we conceded a goal that we definitely shouldn't have conceded. Miles Lewis-Skelly gets caught up the field. Sessegnon runs in behind him. I think the central defender on that side should come to the ball instead of marking space there. But there's really no point in assigning blame. It deflects off Saliba after Muniz hits it, goes past Raya. 2-1 to Fulham. I'm a little nervous, but I'm sure we'll see it out.
So before I even get to that goal, I feel like they warned us with the not the Sessegnon chance, but the other one that Munoz like
The
misses,
header?
like point,
Oh,
yeah, the header,
yeah, the
point
header.
blank,
Yeah.
the point blank header. I was just like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, I just felt like I know I tend to be the person to be like, I want a defender on the line when like everybody's in the backs, just get on the line so let your teammates cover the space or cover their man. But I felt like Kivior was too deep on that first chance. He was way too deep. Nobody was covering Nunez, and then I was like, you're lucky he missed because I feel like that's your man to cover. Like that's your man to cover. Just clear the ball, and then they scored, and it was the same place, same person, same almost same place. And I was just like, why, what are we doing? Like,
Well, I mean, you already sold him for the summer, so we ain't got to go too deep into
listen,
that. But
Kiwi Hive, the sun has set. Like the sun has set. I love that boy, but it's time to go back to the Serie A.
yeah, she
It's
said
time to
it's
learn
over.
Italian, buddy.
She said, "Deport that motherfucker, man. It's out. It's over. He ain't even finished learning English yet. That's harsh, girl. But I feel you. I feel you. In the 88th minute, before Munir scored that deflected goal off Saliba, which we're not really going to dwell on beyond blaming Kivior for it, but MLS had quite a bit of blame to hold in that situation as well. And it's funny. Someone in the chat mentioned that it looked like Arteta was telling him right before the ball got played in behind him to watch out for the ball in behind him. Then it happened.
Of
So
course.
at a bare minimum, it's a learning experience for Miles Lewis-Skelly, who has learned and grown a lot this year. Good for him. That said, Martinelli didn't get a goal in this game. He got an assist on the Saka goal, but he did score an offside goal from a really lovely pass from the captain, who had quite a few good moments in the second half. I can think of 3 set-piece deliveries that were really good. The pass to Timber, one to Martinelli. I think there was maybe one to maybe Merino as well, where I thought to myself, okay, you've redeemed that bullshit ass first half, but still, you gotta chill on the breast milk, bro. So that
Why? I mean, I'm glad you talked about Odegaard because listen, I thought that pass was lovely. Like
it was.
as soon as he scored it though, I was like, I knew he was offside because Martinelli's always offside. Like, of course you're offside.
He's just
Like
really quick.
it was just a really good finish though, like an instinctual finish. Just hit it one time around the keeper. Don't think about it. I was like, yes, that's what I want to see from you. You know what I mean? Like, at least you're getting into positions to score now, even if it
Right.
is offside. It gives me a little bit more hope for the Madrid game because I want you to come inside. Like, I bought. Pause. I want you to. That was a little bit crazy, just a little bit.
Nah,
I just
that was
want you to be in between the center backs. You know what I mean? Like make them stretch the line a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you have pace, use it. You don't always need to be on the outside. I want you to score again. We need you to score again. I mean, this Merino thing that we're doing, like, granted, it's working right now. He's scoring goals, but the problem has always been the left side. Saka has kept up his, end of the bargain on that right side. He's doing his thing. I need the left side to work. Like, I need Martinelli to do his job. Time to score.
fair enough. Fair enough. I was gonna say one final talking point before we move on. We sort of talked at the beginning about how Mikel is probably always going to have that physical person as a center forward. But after Timber went off, we moved 5 to right back and moved Merino back into midfield, put Rice at the 6, had Odegaard where he is. Then we put Trossard as the center forward. I don't know if you saw enough of it, but do you have any thoughts as to how he performed there? Because it was very anonymous to me. I just don't remember much that he did.
Funnily enough, I had turned the game off at like the 94th minute before we even conceded. I had turned the game off because I was doing other things, and I was like, "Wait, we conceded?" And then so I didn't see any of that, and I'm like, I know he wants to do this makeshift right back thing with 5, but I hate him there. I hate him. I hate him anywhere, but
Yeah,
I
pretty
hate
much.
him there specifically.
Easy.
Um, but I'm okay with seeing Trossard at the center forward. Like I actually like seeing Trossard at center forward. It doesn't always work out the way that it should. Sometimes he's good, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. Like that's what it is sometimes when you see Trossard there. But I'd actually like to see him and Martinelli there more. So I didn't mind that. I also want to see Merino in midfield more. I feel like we haven't seen enough of it this season, and the few times we have seen it, I feel like he gets harsh criticism because Moreno's not the midfielder that most people wanted.
Right. People wanted a more offensive profile. I think a name that comes to mind is someone like Iberichi Eze or Javi Simmons, which is good because we're
Listen,
about to
get
talk
me a
about
Xavi
transfers.
Simmons.
I mean, bring them. Don't get me wrong, but I do feel as if there's also such a thing as people getting used to a player. Like when you watch a player and he does something that you don't necessarily want to see in that position, you may view it as a negative, but in actuality, that's sort of how he gets through games. Because I think with Marino, a lot of the criticism I've seen of his game is that he's too slow, and I'm like, no, not really. A lot of the time, he'll get the ball in midfield areas, and what you're calling slow is really just him controlling tempo, him
Exactly.
him sort of using that pausa as it calls it to take advantage of his opponent, like stopping and facing in one direction as if that's where you're gonna play, then just turning all of a sudden, and all of a sudden you've opened up a whole new picture. He's really good at things like that, and I
I
don't
agree.
think he
And
gets
I
enough credit for it because we haven't seen it enough.
and I think that the reason why we complain about that specifically is because we're not seeing Georgie a lot, who tends to be our tempo controller sometimes, our long passer, and we also are not seeing for Odegaard. I feel like if you were seeing Odegaard up the tempo a lot more and start to play with urgency, you wouldn't be complaining about Marino like keeping the tempo where it's at, or controlling the game. Because I hate when we get frantic. We get frantic and start to play like risky passes, but not like smartly. I'm just like, relax. Like let's take it. This is not our game. Let's take it down a little bit. We don't have the personnel for this. You do not have the facilities for this.
I kind of think we do. We just don't really lean into it. Like a lot of I've made a lot of jokes about Odegaard sort of functioning as a condom on this team. Like he just be blocking shit. It's like, bro, like not every time turn onto your left foot and backwards, and like sometimes just play it. Like today, he held onto the ball for an inordinately long amount of time to the point where the crowd kind of bullied him into playing a pass that he almost never plays. He played it into space for Martinelli. I think it may have been the ball that led to the chance at the end of the first half that Leno scooped up. I think maybe Odegaard played that. And it was kind of like by force because it was one of the things where it's like, what do you have to lose? It's about to be halftime. Just boot it and see what
Yeah.
happens instead of doing this tempo shit every fucking time.
No, Dean, we need control. That's what Arteta is saying.
Shout out Janet Jackson. Um, let's do a little transfer talk before we get out of here. We'll keep it brief. But
I love that. Let's
in the
do it.
stands, we saw what's his face, Andrea Berta for the first time sitting next to Tim Lewis. There was no debate about who had the better hairline because Tim Lewis, bro, It's been time to go for like 15 years, my nigga. You look like Frank Murphy in RoboCop. Like, stop this shit, man. Like, anyway, but that we had the opportunity to discuss what we wanted to do this summer. And since the last time we spoke, we've had pretty substantial links to sporting. Well, we'll call them sporting because it's not
That
sporting.
I like, but you hate. But yes, go
Yeah,
on.
we had pretty substantial links to a certain Victor Gyokeres, a player that has been banging goals in Portugal for is it 2 seasons now, and did pretty well
Yeah,
at Coventry City before that. Um,
won a league title.
Won a league title, scored a hat trick against City, has achieved a couple things, but there've never been concrete links to Arsenal before now. So I guess the impression we're all getting is that Andrea Berta has come in and he's interested in a player. And that's why all of a sudden David Ornstein and Gunner Blog are saying Arsenal are interested in Victor Gyokeres. You seem to have been a fan of him because you like every white person, I believe.
This is false.
If you're making the choice between a player we've been linked to for quite a while in Benjamin Sesko and Victor Gyokeres, which one are you picking?
Tesco, 100%. Tesco's my boy. Tesco's been my boy for months. Like that's who I wanted last summer. Even when we like the little links that we were linked to Gyokeres last summer when we needed a striker, I still wanted Sesko. I just
And
I
why is
just
that?
fully believe in that guy. I also have watched him more.
Mm.
I tend to only watch Gyokeres in the Champions League when they're on sometimes, but I watch the Bundesliga a lot, and I actually really like Sesko. Sesko is one of those players who I feel like would just thrive if he had more service. That was the problem with Leipzig this season. I just feel like he hasn't scored enough goals because he hasn't got enough service. Xavi Simons was out for a while, so there's that. But that's not a problem in our team. The
Right.
amount of chances that Kai gets sometimes, yeah, get him in there. And I also
Okay.
am adamant about the fact that Kai gives you 12 to 15 goals every season. So if you get somebody who just gives you at least 10 goals, 10 to 12 goals, who's a supplemental striker, our own Duran, if you will, that's good enough. That's a 20-goal striker right there.
So is that I don't know how you balance your budget at home, but is a 10 to 15 goal striker to supplement what we already have worth 80 million euros?
I mean, he wouldn't be going for 80. He'd be going for like 60. So that's good enough. As Listen, I heard months ago. I even changed my group chat on WhatsApp to the war chest like links are back up again. Okay, Arsenal are putting out the feelings war chest 300 million in the summer. And while I do not believe them, and I never do, I think that they have to. They know that they have to go out and do something big. They know that. And I think that they also know that Arteta really wants Zubimendi. So that's already a chunk of your budget that's out because Zubimendi's coming for 50 to 60. So
Right.
you have that midfield gone. And I don't think we've been linked to really any left wingers other than Nico Williams. Like I can't remember one link who's not Nico Williams. I think he really wants Nico Williams and he also needs pace. So there's not a lot of wingers out there that who could like be that high of a standard. Um,
Which is weird because that's the side you would play a right footer on in the Arsenal system, and there should be a lot of decent right footed
you would think
fast, but there are really not that many
there's
that
really
would
not.
elevate Arsenal. That's the problem with being a good team. There's only you can only buy certain players. It's just not worth it to spend money to spend money.
I agree.
Um, that said,
But yeah,
I would like to express my opinion on Jokeres. I've never been. I think he's a good player, but I've never thought he was the right fit for what we want to do at Arsenal. If the option is between no purchase and Jokeres, get Jokeres. Absolutely. But I'd rather have Ekitike, obviously Isak.
you guys an Ekatike.
Ekitike is my guy.
Just say
Ekitike
you
is
want a
my
black
guy.
striker, bro. Just say you want a black striker.
Oh yeah, that too. That too. Absolutely, make Arsenal black again. Like everybody, like get all these middle class white boys out the team. Like fuck all that shit. Like I'll stand on that shit. Fuck it. Like we still doing the DI shit on this podcast. Fuck all y'all with little government shit. But Ekitike, Isak, Shesko. I'd actually even go Ollie Watkins at somewhere around 40 to 50 million over Gyökeres. Just because he has the Premier League experience. We know what we're getting there. I'm not
You
going to
know we're
expect
not
too
getting him
much.
for no 40 or 50 million.
Next
Prem
summer,
tax is expensive.
Well, next summer, like they wanted 60 for him in January, and that's the January window. Next summer, he'll be older. His contract would be another 6 months off. That price is dropping. If we go back in, if for whatever reason we don't do the premier purchases in Shesko or Isak or Ekitike, my preference, then absolutely bring me what's his name, Ollie Watkins for like 40,
Bring me a
50
what's his
million.
name?
Yeah, bring me that one. He don't even gotta have a name. We just need the profile really. Gyokeres for me, as good as he is, there's just something very like he's not from what I've seen. I've watched a lot of video of this guy, and I don't think he's very good with his back towards goal. For a guy that's that big, he runs in a lot of straight lines. There's not a lot of like wiggle to him. He doesn't have that wiggle. He ain't got that shake. He can play. He plays out wide pretty decently. He makes those nice runs out wide, but I don't expect him to beat Premier League defenders with the moves he's using in Portugal. In Portugal, he just runs past motherfuckers. That's all. He just runs past them because he's physical. He's more physical than they are. He's physically dominant in comparison to most of the defenders he faces on a weekly basis. That won't be the case in England. So that's gonna cut a huge chunk of his game out. But in the box, he's pretty dangerous. So he's definitely an option. Way down my list of options, personally. Way down. I'd rather get if it's between him and getting someone like Samuel Gilwa, who's currently playing at Porto, like a young 21-year-old that's still developing as being the, sort of the Duran option, like the developing option off the bench that's backing up Kai. Absolutely, I'd do that over spending 70, 80 million on Gyokeres. That's kind of how I feel about it. But
So what about if it was between him and Sesko? Would you take Sesko first, or would you take Gyokeres?
Sesko, definitely Sesko. I
Then we're on
think
the same page.
I mean, for him, like he's not. I mean, he's bigger. He's taller. He's probably just as fast. And the
I
more
agree.
important thing to me, the most important factor is that he has the wiggle. He has that shake. He has the subtlety. It's not
He
on the level of
does.
TK or Isak, but he has it.
He's
Jokeres is
deceptively
perfectly aligned.
techie.
Yeah, he has technique. I've seen him do really clever things. I've seen him round the goalkeeper real clever. Like I've seen him do things that get people off their seats rather than and he can hit the fuck out of a ball too, which is hugely important. So can Jokeres, by the way.
Listen, that's probably my number one thing that I want in a striker right now. I need ball striking technique, which is probably why Ekitike is a little bit lower on my list. I don't want to see another Jesus. I feel like that sometimes the way he hits the ball gives me the ick. I can't lie. And granted, he's still developing, but I'm a Sesko truther for sure. I would take him over basically anybody in the market right now. And before anybody says anything, if money wasn't an option, like if it didn't matter, obviously you go get Isak.
Obviously,
Obviously. But that
obviously.
guy's not available. I'm telling you, I'm making the prediction right now. Come 3, 4 months from now, when that transfer window closed shut, he will still be at Newcastle. I promise y'all that.
Honestly, it's really up to the player. If he doesn't want to be there anymore, then he can make it happen. But people, I don't know. We'll see what happens in the summer. The summer is always interesting. Things rarely go the way we expect them to go. So we'll see what happens. But I know Arsenal will do something, and that gives me comfort. Gabby, thanks for joining me as always. Anything else for these people?
Gabrielle, please be fit. That's all I have to say.
Don't worry, he's coming back at the Santiago Bernabeu, and he's gonna slap one on Rudiger's head at a corner. It's gonna be the winner. It's gonna be great. I'm so ready. My body's
You
ready.
must.
It's ready. Like I'm sending this motherfucker all the horse placenta I have in my house. Like no worries, no worries. He's gonna be okay. All right, folks, it's been great. This has been the Shirtless Plantain Show, the Arsenal edition. Gabby, thank you again, and you know what to tell the people.
Peace.
Hey folks, this is Dean from the Shirtless Plantain Show. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and follow us on all our socials. You can see them right beneath our recordings in every video. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.